Tony loved his garden. It was his sanctuary, a place where he could escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Every morning he watered his carrots. He weeded his lettuce with care, making sure every plant had room to grow. Most of all, he treasured his roses. They were the crown jewels of his garden. Their sweet smell filled the air, creating a fragrant symphony that delighted his senses. Tony was happy in his garden. It was his peaceful place, a haven where he could relax and unwind. It was his peaceful place. Tony had a routine that he followed religiously. Tony had a routine. Up with the sun, he put on his worn straw hat. It was a symbol of his dedication. He then grabbed his watering can, ready to start his day. The metal was warm from the sun, a comforting start to his morning ritual. He always started in the same corner. First the carrots, then the lettuce, ensuring each plant got the attention it needed. And finally, his roses. They were the last but most cherished part of his routine. Tony knew all his plants by name. He talked to them as he worked, sharing stories and secrets. He sang them silly songs, believing it made them grow stronger. His garden was his pride and joy. It was a reflection of his hard work and love. He wouldn't trade it for the world. One day something changed. Little did Tony know, a visitor was about to disrupt his peaceful life. A new chapter was about to begin. A fluffy bunny lived in the meadow nearby. His fur was as soft as a cloud and his eyes sparkled with mischief. He had the wobbliest nose and the bounciest tail. Everyone called him Bouncer. His playful antics were known far and wide. He loved to hop and play, always full of energy and curiosity. One sunny morning, Bouncer hopped towards the delicious smells. He had smelled carrots. His nose twitched with excitement. Following his nose, Bouncer found Tony's garden. It was a paradise of vegetables. He squeezed under the old wooden fence, eager to explore this new wonderland. The juicy carrots were too tempting. They looked so fresh and delicious. He nibbled on the leaves, savoring every bite. He dug up the roots, his little paws working quickly. Bouncer was in his element, making a mess. Dirt flew everywhere as he dug. Bouncer didn't stop at the carrots. His curiosity led him further. He explored the lettuce patch, munching on the crisp leaves. He even nibbled on a rose petal. The sweet taste was a delightful surprise. The garden was Bouncer's playground. Every corner held a new adventure. He hopped and he nibbled, leaving a trail of destruction behind him. Plants were chewed, and vegetables were scattered. When Tony saw his garden, he was shocked. His hard work lay in ruins. Who could have done this, he wondered. His mind raced with possibilities. He looked around for clues, determined to find the culprit. There, in the soil, he saw tiny footprints. "A rabbit!" Tony exclaimed. The mystery was solved. Tony knew he had to protect his precious garden. He couldn't let this happen again. He wouldn't let this mischievous bunny ruin all his hard work. He had to act fast. Tony was determined to keep Bouncer out. The battle had begun. He started planning his defenses. Tony built a fence. He worked tirelessly, ensuring every post was firmly in place and every plank was secure. It was tall and strong, a true masterpiece of garden defense. He was sure no bunny could get past it. This time, his garden would be safe. He stood back and admired his work, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "Take that, you pesky rabbit," he declared, feeling triumphant. The next morning, Tony went to check on his garden, eager to see his hard work pay off. To his surprise, there was Bouncer, munching on a carrot, looking as content as ever. He had jumped right over the fence effortlessly. Tony couldn't believe his eyes. How could this be possible? "This rabbit is clever," he muttered. But Tony wouldn't give up. He set traps, determined to outsmart Bouncer. He put up a scarecrow, hoping it would scare the bunny away. He even sprinkled chili powder around his plants. But Bouncer avoided them all with ease. He continued to feast on Tony's vegetables, undeterred by the obstacles. One day, Tony tried a new trick. He had an idea that just might work. He put out a bowl of fresh, juicy berries far away from his garden, hoping to lure Bouncer away. "Maybe," he thought, "if the rabbit eats these, he will leave my vegetables alone." Tony crossed his fingers and waited. Section 4, A Gardener's Despair. Bouncer ate the berries. Then he hopped back to the garden for dessert. Tony was at his wit's end. His vegetables were ruined. His fence was useless. Even his scarecrow seemed to be laughing at him. Tony sat down on a bench. He felt defeated. His once beautiful garden was now a mess. He couldn't understand why this little bunny was so determined to ruin his happy place. As Tony sat there, he heard a soft whimper. It was coming from the vegetable patch. He looked up. His heart skipped a beat. Bouncer was lying by the carrot patch. He wasn't hopping, he wasn't nibbling, he was just sitting there, looking sad. Section 5. An unexpected turn. Tony cautiously approached Bouncer. He was still a bit cross with the bunny, but he couldn't bear to see him sad. As he got closer, he saw that Bouncer's paw was caught in a twig. He was hurt. Tony carefully removed the twig. Bouncer winced. Tony gently stroked Bouncer's soft fur. He felt a pang of sympathy for the little creature. Maybe Bouncer didn't mean to cause so much trouble. Maybe he was just hungry. From that day on, Tony and Bouncer shared the garden. Tony protected his vegetables. In return, he left a small patch of carrots just for Bouncer. They even shared the occasional juicy berry. Tony learned that sometimes friendship can blossom in the most unexpected places, even in a garden with a mischievous bunny.